Welcome to Sober.Coffee, a weekly coffee chat sharing experience, strength, and hope for anyone on the sober road to recovery. You can download Sober.Coffee weekly on all podcast platforms and check us out on Instagram at Sober.Coffee Podcast and on Twitter at Sober.Coffee Pod. To learn more about us and to help support these sessions, visit online at Sober.Coffee. Here are your hosts, two guys on their own path to recovery, Mike and Glenn. Let's join them at the coffee shop.
Mr. G.
What's up, my brother? Good morning.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, man. I'm just sitting here thinking, back when we started this, right, back at the dinner during COVID, when COVID crashed, and everything was shut down, we just wanted to find a way to keep getting the message out there.
Right.
We were doing a conference call line for the first week or two, and then we did Zoom.
Then we did the Zoom thing, right?
But it was, our mission, our objective was let's help one alcoholic.
Right.
And
it's worked. It's helped me.
Yeah, I mean, we've been over 4 years now, 250 episodes roughly, including bonus episodes and stuff. And man, I'll tell you what, it's what we have affirmed with ourselves is we've helped at least two people.
Right.
You and me.
Yeah, right.
Right. And I mean, it blows my mind we're in 50 countries. Just blows my mind. I'm not sure if Bangladesh is one of them.
We're big in Bangladesh, I tell you.
Major Bangladesh. Target market for us, but
yeah, right.
But I mean, it's just. I mean, when I go look at the statistics, and I'm like, Iceland and Italy. I mean, we're pretty big. No, not Italy. Ireland.
Ireland.
Yeah, we're big in Ireland. We're big in the UK, and so now we used to have 99.9% of our population in the U.S. Now it's like 85.
Oh wow.
So crazy, but just the value that this brings for me to be able to do this and to turn our pain into a message to help somebody, help me, help you, and so it's great.
And that's what it's all about.
It's great being here with you, brother.
Practicing those principles in all our affairs. Great to have Table for Three today.
I love Table for Three, especially today.
Especially today. I'm going to cue it up. So Lynda, with a Y. Lynda, has been on before. When we first started the podcast back in 2000, 4 years ago, she was on for a couple of episodes. But maybe I said it then, but if not, I want to say it now. We did an episode a couple of weeks ago about relating to that first 3 days, 30 days of sobriety. And I've got a couple of 24 hours now, but I bring myself back to those points. Here's the point of my story. When I was raw and hurting and desperate for a message of hope, something to cling on to, I walked into Mokina Fellowship. I connected to the 7 a.m. meetings, and there was a Wednesday meeting, and it was chaired by Lynda, and it was a 12 and 12, right?
Yep.
And it meant so much to me. Lynda meant so much to me because what I got from Lynda was raw and real.
Oh, that's so funny you would say raw and real because all I thought of coming in today was this is going to be raw today. This is raw and real right now.
It's raw and real.
It is. And I remember you walking in. I can remember like it was yesterday. And I was so looking forward to seeing you the next day. And you were there. I was so glad. You know how much you helped me.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to seeing you coming in. That's what we do though, in this,
Well, but you have no idea the impact
you have no idea the impact you made on me.
Isn't that funny? Yeah.
You know
and
what,
you,
though?
Glenn,
But
it's so emotional.
It's just so different from how we lived our lives before because I was a chameleon. It wasn't raw and real. It was fake and manipulative. And
no wonder why you kept going back out.
Oh, I
process,
was
right?
Every person, every meeting I would go to, I would be different because I would be who I thought you wanted me to be, and there was nothing real, nothing authentic, nothing honest about me.
No. Oh, I remember you. So just specifically,
God.
You were a hard ass, man. When you were going hard, and then when you fell hard. I remember.
Oh my God, I
fell
over and over again
man,
because I was doing it.
I remember you come back in and go, oh my God, I'm so glad you're back. And then you get strong again, and then you start bursting out that strong. And just like we start to find that peace within us, like that even thing where the ego, like the ego. I was just reading, and the ego has to be smashed. More about alcoholism. It has to be smashed.
There are people
and
out
God
there.
shows us how to smash it. He smashes it for us if we let him.
Yes.
Yeah, there are people out there that went to my sponsor and said, "Just give up."
No.
They literally, I had their names, and one of them 6'5", and he says to me today, he says, "Glenn, I just didn't think you. I just saw a lot of investment of time and resource and emotion into you, and you weren't getting it, and for years you didn't get it."
Right.
And he said, so he goes, "I'm glad he stuck with you."
Right. I
know?
remember I was praying for you. I remember
that was part of
one
it.
time that when you came in and then you were getting so much better. I'm like, dear God, just help him to,
Thank you,
we
dear.
need to stay right size. That's what it is. I get out of my, I get too much into my own head. Even over here, waiting for you guys. I get emotional thinking about stuff. I get in my head too much.
Right.
But I'm so glad you're watching you at your life now, Glenn,
Oh,
and
my
just
God.
beautiful. It's just such blessings, and we get to experience these things together.
I know, right? And it's been a journey. It's been a couple of years
wonderful
now.
journey.
And I would
Wait,
really.
can I jump in?
Yes.
So, Lynda, you've seen me back then.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And you've watched, watched me. We live sober.
Yeah.
And people say the 12 steps don't work.
Well, then, I remember this one woman up in McHenry. I had my first year of sobriety up in McHenry, and she said that the program just upset her so much about the 12 steps. So she was just going to meetings, and she said she decided to do the 12 steps just to prove them wrong, and that's when she got hooked.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
It's
So
got,
I've heard stories like that where
the
people
the whole program.
So,
yeah.
you got to
Right?
be willing and want to. And if they don't want to, you got to let them go. I got 3 girls I'm sponsoring, and I
nice.
have to let them go at their pace, not, the control issues. And that was another thing about alcoholism, where I was reading about the control. We alcoholics are men and women who have lost the ability to control our drinking, but not just control. We need to learn how to, have control or not let go of control.
Right. Yeah.
What are you taking pictures
So
of
I just
over
took a
there? You
picture
taking a picture
of
of my big book?
No,
Yeah.
I took a picture. No. Wait.
It's all
Wait,
good.
no. I think, and if it's okay, I'll post that on Instagram and on
Yeah.
TikTok. Because here's what I believe. I believe that people get the big book and they put it on a shelf. And I think the way to really make this work for you in the 12 steps is to make that big book, just like yours looks, a resource.
It
right?
is. It's a textbook.
Yeah,
It's a resource.
exactly. It's not a read through and put it back on the shelf. Oh, I read that. It is a constant source of energy and information and direction on how to live a different life sober.
It's a living word, I believe. It lives within us because the words change as we change, and the meanings and the
Yeah.
and
We
everything,
because
and
we
the
change.
relationships.
There's 4
And as
different
we
colors,
change, it
there's
changes.
notes,
There's the Bible.
love it.
There's the
right.
big book, and then there's the big book.
Right.
And this is, I believe, is divine providence. Absolutely. God in the 12 steps. And helping others, trusting God, and then keeping our houses clean, cleaning house, continually. So as we continue to work this program and working those steps, it's new levels of right now I'm on step 10. I'm just finishing up 9 and going through a self-forgiveness of myself.
Good for you.
Just because I didn't have an alcoholic relapse, but I had an emotional relapse a couple of years ago. And what happened was I got disconnected from the program.
Well, that's stage 2 of a relapse is emotional relapse.
Right.
I
And
mean,
that's,
that comes
and
before
thank
the
God,
physical
well,
relapse.
I just knew, the thing was I just knew that a drink or a drug wasn't going to make it better because I've been through the relapse thing before, But that
Got enough proof.
October 1st, 2012, when I decided to have 6 months. I was 6 months in again.
Yeah.
It kept being 6 months for some reason, and on that third shot of tequila, God let me see my face in the mirror.
Right.
I'm like, fuck
Oh,
you,
man.
bitch! What the fuck? You gave up everything to get sober. Now you're having a drink again. And right then and there, I decided to dig my heels in the program. And I haven't let go, but I did let go a couple times. I've disconnected.
Let go emotionally.
I let go
And
emotionally.
physically,
Yeah.
to the
Yeah,
connections
well, the
and-
connections,
yes.
everything. Ghosted my sponsor. Thank God I have such an angel of a sponsor that has never let me go. So she's been my sponsor for 11 years.
Wow, that's
my first year of
fantastic.
sobriety. Okay, I just celebrated 12 years. October 1st, 2012 was my last drink. So it's 10/2/2012. But I lost track. My first year of sobriety, I had 13 sponsors.
Well, that's got to be some kind of record in the Guinness Book.
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah,
Your
but
first
I also
year.
but I also did 297 meetings in 90 days.
Wow, 297 meetings in 90 days.
I was living in AA on my first year up in McHenry.
Okay.
And then when
Those are amazing stats,
and then
both of them.
and then during that time, because things were changing all the time, because my husband couldn't get sober, so I had to leave him. So and this is all part of my 9 step is still the unforgiveness wants to come in for everything that happened, but he killed himself 3 months after my last drink, and I didn't feel the need to pick up a drink after that.
Which is amazing.
So, I think we shared that before, but it's only because of this program. Now, there's times when I disconnected from the program and I didn't want to drink or drug, and there was life happening.
But you were still living a void.
What happened was my job I moved away from my army. I moved down south. My job I got a new job down there. It was the best paying job, best position, director of in recovery. I got a condo, and it was perfect. And then the job started going sour. It was a toxic working. And then my condo started going sour and toxic. The septic blew. And then my daughter, who wanted me to move down there in the first place, got all on my case, and she went toxic on me quitting the job and plus the condo thing, which anyway, it all went to shit. And I didn't want to live because I didn't want to drink or drug. And so, I spent my 10-year anniversary, honestly, in a psych ward, and which is interesting, And so building back up from that and getting my butt back up here and all the help that I got was amazing from people in the program and family that loves me and supports me, But there's a lot that let go of me too, and I have to let,
I love that because what I'm hearing you say is life still happens.
Right.
Like we don't hold on. We're not holding on to this ideal rainbows, unicorns, and butterflies every day. Life happens. We got health issues, finance issues, relational issues, emotional issues. It still happens. But here you are. Yes, you spent your 10-year anniversary in a tough place, but here you are. Here you are, thriving, sharing your message of hope again.
Well, I was pretty psychotic in this because I'm laughing at myself. Today's my 10-year anniversary.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if it is a bad place.
No, it was a perfect place for me to be. I'm so glad this was the second time in my sobriety that I was in a psych ward, because the first time was in my first year when I was going through a med change, and they weren't worried about
I would rather do that
and they
than
asked
pick
me
up.
if I wanted to go in the psych ward
I'd
during
rather
this
do that
med
than
change.
pick up a
and
drink.
I said, absolutely. I love it. I've never been to a psych ward before. Now, the first experience was great because I self-admitted myself. The second time wasn't as much fun, and it was not in the most beautiful city in the world either. But
I would go in. I would go in today, and I would say, "Look, here's where I'm at. Here's where I'm headed.
Right.
Help me not get there.
Yeah.
Let's do this proactively." And
I wasn't proactive, honestly, Glenn. I wasn't. No, I was committed to it. I didn't want to live, to be honest with you. So, but the thing I wanted to say about that was how important it is that the people is reaching out when you're hurting, because I was hurting really bad, and I ghosted my sponsor, and I ghosted you people because you were here for me, you were texting me, people were going, how are you doing, and I wasn't talking back, because I was felt bad about the bad place I was in.
Isolation.
I didn't want the isolation. I didn't want people to know I wasn't doing good.
Right.
So ego, right? Ego takes this. Ego, it just takes it. So that's where I want to share how important it is that not only do we go to God, because I could lay in that bed and pray to God all day.
Right.
But if I don't reach out to somebody and tell them that I'm hurting,
right.
And unfortunately, the one person that I did tell him I was hurting wasn't in a good mental capacity to help me, and went the other way and ended up hurting me in the meantime. And so, that hurt,
Right.
And so getting through all that, it takes years for us to build back up. So. And even in sobriety, life still happens, and yet, but the thing is, my biggest thing is helping others is the other thing.
It gets you out of yourself.
It gets me out of it.
But you're succeeding. I
am doing wonderfully right now.
In spite of what life throws at you, you are succeeding, and that is so inspirational, isn't it?
Well, it's amazing because I ended up homeless in Georgia for during Thanksgiving and Christmas, and it was penniless, and I needed to get back up here, and through the grace of God, it was a miracle how I got back up here. But I was in a community of homeless people that were really tight community that really watched out for each other, and we learned taught me where I could have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So that's in my 10 years of sobriety. The first time actually living on the streets, but I had my car, so I was a little bit better off, but my car couldn't drive anywhere.
Okay.
So I had to get it fixed, but I didn't have the money. But through the grace of God, he just,
and your perseverance.
And so my perseverance. Well, yeah, I think, and God and people, because there were people up here that were telling me that I need to do this, and I had to promise them before I got off the phone. Right. And if I make a promise, I have to. Yeah. So I had to make promises, and so thankfully I did ask for help, and I got back up here, and people were helping me, and now. It's been 2 years, and my life is totally turned around. I'm in the most fantastic place
Tell me about life.
Well, I work for a wonderful ministry. I've worked there before. Yeah. They wanted me back. They were ones that were asking me to get my ass back up here, that they offered me a job back. So I work for a food ministry, and I'm living out in Manhattan. I don't know if I should be saying where I live at.
Well, we don't have your last name, so they'd have to really Google search.
I'm living out in the country, and I love the city of Joliet. I work in the city, and I love that. I sponsor 3 ladies.
Nice.
Still have the same sponsor I've had. I go to meetings every day. I have a meeting scheduled every day. Yeah. And
so
if I miss a meeting,
your life is wrapped around your meeting schedule.
It's really my work and meeting.
Yes.
What was I going to say? If I miss a meeting, it's okay, because I know I have one scheduled the next day. If I miss 2 or 3, that's okay, because I know I'm not going to go a week without one. Right. Because, my home group is Mondays in Mokina at the 10 a.m. Big Book Study, and my sponsor and I always meet there every week and do a study.
So here's my question. At what point is the first indication that we are isolating? Right? So
when you don't want to tell somebody you're hurting.
When you don't want to tell
First time you don't answer a text.
Okay.
No. What does your indicate? You're trying to. You're going out to me, and I don't answer a text. Somebody ghosts you that would not is a social, because I'm a social person.
Right.
But I also go into the depressive states. But it's very important. Also, I didn't have a good psychiatrist. I was going through a med change when I was down there, and I have to be very careful about my med changes. Yes. And so the last 2 years, there's been some mistakes, and I went into another one. But thank God I was living in a sober women's sober living house, which is a miracle in itself, because those are women that just come out of rehab.
Right.
I had 10 years sober. Right. So, but they thought, you're going to be a great asset for this house. And I'll tell you what, boy, was that a blessing for me and for them. Right. And they held me accountable, and I couldn't be depressed and stay in bed and not get up and go to meetings, because you had to go to so many meetings.
This is important for me, because I, by default, think I'm an isolator.
Yeah.
I will tend to do this myself. Glenn and I have talked about it before. It's kind of how I was raised. You got a problem, fix it.
Right.
And I will tend to isolate. It is not natural for me to go to Glenn's house on Monday night for Bible study. It's just socializing with other guys. They're a great group. It's a struggle. Same thing when on my way there, I'm like, I don't want to go. And every single time I'm driving home going, what a wonderful experience that was. I need more of it. I didn't want it to end.
Well, if I live my life on feelings, I drink.
Yeah, right.
I live my life today cognitively knowing what the next right step is. And I go the same Monday night. And every Monday night at 5:30.
You got an excuse.
I know, but it's at my house, so I can't bag
smart,
out.
Very smart.
But
I
that's
have to
guardrails.
be careful. I have to be really careful when I think about every move, really. I have to pray on it and pause. Right. But I'm a lot more spontaneous, too. So, but I have to be real careful about my steps I take every day and try to keep in conscious contact with them throughout the day.
So what are the strengths of the AA program? Your big book right here is highlighted through and through. It's got miles on it. What is your go-to for your... Because
the ninth step promises and 10th step promises.
Okay.
Those 2 promises are, you just blend those all together and go into step 11 and 12.
Right.
And, and then one, of course, how could you have a favorite part? That's like asking for a favorite child when you got, 100
right,
children.
exactly,
it's not even if you have 3, if you have
right,
100 and you got to pick out your one,
But what drives you, I guess?
What drives
not really
me?
Your favorite.
Because how you guys help me and I get to help back.
Yes.
You know what I mean? People help me.
Yeah.
People helped me.
Glenn said that before. Glenn said he can't repay.
No, I can't. And I can repay.
With all the
and
effort.
I get to now. I get to repay these people that helped me financially when I was in a bad way.
Well,
we get to do that. We get to.
We get to.
Yeah, we get to. And we get to help others, not because we have to, but because we want to.
That's your repayment.
Because it helped us and because we know the feeling and how it was and how it feels to be helped. So it's a back and forth because both people are getting so much out of it. It's a win-win.
And again, it doesn't happen when you're isolating.
No. Oh, no. And, no, it doesn't because then we're not helping anybody else and we're not helping ourselves.
Right.
So we need people. I see that triangle, me, God, and you and people.
Yeah, right.
I can't just do it, me and God.
No.
At least me, maybe some other people. I have pastor that wants to argue with, just you and God, and this. And I'm like thinking, man, I need people. Look, I'll go into scripture, but I argue with pastors about a lot of stuff too. But
Jesus had people.
But Jesus did have
Absolutely.
people.
He had God and people.
He had God and people
yes, he
too.
did.
And he was still learning in the process too.
So
we're all learning.
What do you tell the listener, Lynda, that is out there struggling right now? What advice do you give them? I loved your clean house.
It's trust God, clean house, and help others. That's all we have to do in life. It hasn't, and the only way we can do that is to be of sober mind.
Right.
And then the trusting God is the difficult one sometimes because I want to have control.
Oh, sure.
We want to control.
Firmly
I want
on the wheel.
And I'm like, okay, God, I'm all ready for whatever you have today to me. And he'll smack me on the side of the head with something totally from left field going, all right, here's this. And I'm like, right. And I'm crying. And then and this is specific that just happened recently. And I'm crying and going, no, oh my God. And then I just thought, this morning on the way to work, I said, whatever you have for me, I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
You gave it
yes.
to me.
Be careful what you ask for.
Obey.
Right?
Well, then you obey because you listen, because you tell him, and he responds, and then to obey and do it feels so good because it's all about relationships.
Right. Okay, so trust God.
Trust God.
Clean house.
Clean house, and that is keeping amends with people, keeping it right with people and ourselves.
But that's where the 12 steps really helped me, show me exactly how to do that.
Yeah.
Step by step.
Step by step, specifically.
Right, yeah.
Yep.
Right.
And then how to do it every day.
But some people can naturally do that on their own. But we need to be taught, and we need to remember.
I had
and
no
that's
compass.
why we have this. Yeah. Right. So we need to learn, but some people know how to do it automatically. And they knew how to keep their houses clean and make their beds every morning.
Trust God, clean house, and
help others,
others.
That's what God wants us to do too. That's what Jesus is. Love God and love others as you love yourself.
Glenn quoted that last week.
So, and that's what he was all about. And he argued with them. He was adamant about helping, and he didn't like, and to see him get angry on the temple and about the buyers and the sellers are no different fellers than what we protest to be, that's all.
Right.
And so he, I'm sorry, I get a little bit carried away.
No, it was good stuff. I think we covered a lot. I can't believe our time is almost up.
Great to have you back, Lynda.
I'm glad to be
anything
back.
you want to throw out there before we leave?
I just am so grateful for the recovery world. And if anybody has a problem with God, it isn't just about Jesus and about the Bible. It's about good, orderly direction, G-O-D. I totally believe in that in any way, in spirit, or any way that you can find a higher power than yourself to help you and reach out to somebody else. So looking out for reaching out for a higher power in another person. And you will be trusting God, cleaning house and helping others just by doing that. So
my sponsor was my God for 3, maybe 4 years. And then as I unlearned all the crap that I knew about God growing up, and I learned about a new loving God, who loved on the woman at the well, the prodigal son story, right? The loving guy that wants to have a relationship with me, versus the hellfire and damnation, purple robe things.
Right.
And so I moved my sponsor from the God role to a lighthouse role. And now my sponsor, my lighthouse, and now I got a relation with God. But I'll tell you, I would not, that book as a textbook, as a resource, as a guidebook.
We're in school lifelong.
Taught me how to live life.
It continues to teach
on life's
us,
terms.
It continues to teach us.
Step 4, step 5.
I'm talking over you. I'm sorry.
The past,
but,
steps 8 and 9. And then, when page 86, it tells you what to do on page 86.
Right.
It's
86
not hard.
is my favorite,
upon retiring, upon awakening, upon retiring at night, you reflect on your day.
Right.
It tells you.
And you know what it says is, for after all, God gave us brains to use.
That's right. Let's go use them this week. Lynda, come back again.
I love you guys.
Thanks,
I love you,
Lynda.
Glenn.
Love
Love you, Mikey.
Thank you so much for sharing with our listeners.
Thank you for letting me be here.
Thanks for joining us for today's coffee chat. To contact the show, email us at podcast@sober.coffee. If you need immediate help, the AA hotline is 800-839-1686. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 800-273-8255. Remember, Mike and Glenn are sharing their own journey on the path to recovery. Any suggestions, medical or otherwise, are their own experiences and should not be viewed as professional advice. See you next week, and remember, there is a solution.
Stay safe in the city of Chicago.